Welcome to day 16 of our Excel in 60 Days Mastery Challenge. We will be discussing on how to highlight cells that meet multiple conditions. And we'll be doing that using the AND or logics. Okay? All right. So let's begin with the AND logic. The AND logic returns true if all conditions tested are true. So we have two items to test. We have the stock item and the sales item. So let us see how we can use the AND logic in conditional formatting to test conditions. So we highlight a cell where we want to apply our condition. We head on to conditional formatting. Under our home tab, we go to new rules. In new rules, we head on to use a formula to determine which cells to format. Now we want to enter our formulas. And here we will put the following formula: equals, and we want to say stock, right? So this is stock here. When stock is less than 50, and we want to say sales is greater than 1 million. We'll close our parentheses. Okay, so right now we haven't entered any formatting. So to enter a formatting, we'll click on format, and we may decide to use fill, and then just pick any field of choice. Let's pick this screen, click OK, right? So we have our preview here, and click OK. So you see here in this case now, stock is less than 50, isn't it? And sales is what? Greater than 1 million. And so that is why we had this shading here. Okay, let us basically go and make some adjustments in our rule so that we will just autofill it easily. So we go back to conditional formatting, go to manage rules, click on the rule. Let's edit the rule. So now you can see these dollar signs, right? These dollar signs indicate that these cells are locked, okay? So even if we autofill, it will be that we are autofilling these very cells. So let us take away the dollar signs so that we can easily just copy this formula across, okay? We click on OK, apply, and OK. Then we can now autofill this across. So I click, held, and drag. So you can see that we are right because here stock is less than 50. Our sales is greater than 1 million. The same thing here too. Our sales is higher than 1 million. But see here now, stock is greater than 50. That is to say that this condition isn't met. However, sales is higher than 1 million. And that is why we said that when we use the AND logic, we say that we want both conditions or all of the conditions we test to be true. Now, let's make this kind of clear. Let's see what happened here, okay? And we will just go ahead and use this formula straight so that you see what happened here. We can say equals and open parentheses. Our first logic was that stock will be less than what? 50, right? Comma. Our second logic was sales will be greater than 1 million, right? We close our parentheses. So you may have more logics to test, okay? And if you have more, you just keep separating with a comma to enter more logic. But in this case, we just have two, which is stock and what? Sales. So we close our parentheses and hit enter. You see that because these two conditions are true, right? These two conditions are true. That is why we have true. If we autofill it across, you see that wherever we don't have our conditional formatting, it says false. That is to say our conditional formatting was properly applied. In this case, you see that stock was less than 50. So this condition is true. However, this other condition isn't. So because both of them are not true, it returns false. Okay? All right. So let us go and, in the same way, test the OR logic. The OR logic returns true if any of the condition tested is true. So let us test it both with conditional formatting and without conditional formatting. Okay? So let's go ahead. We highlight the cell that we want to enter conditional formatting. We head on to conditional formatting under home. We go to new row. We want to use formula to determine which cell to format. And we go to impute the formula. And this time we will say equal or open parenthesis. And we will say stock, right? Which we can find it here, less than 50, comma, then sales greater than 1 million. We close our parentheses. So remember, we removed our dollar sign. So you can just click where you want to remove the dollar sign in the cell address and use F4, okay? You can use F4 to impute the dollar sign. The dollar sign means that you are holding that cell a constant, okay? So let us go to format now so that we can make some formatting. You can use fill, you can use borders, you can use, there's no font there, so you basically cannot use font, but let's just use fill. Pick a color, right? Let's just pick this shade of green, okay? You can decide to use patterns if you like. So if you like to use patterns instead, you pick a pattern like this, right? You can see the patterns. If you want a specific color of the pattern, you pick the specific color under here. Let's pick this yellow color and for this pattern. All right, so we'll say okay. So basically added our format, okay? Now let's go ahead and click okay. Why is this true? Even if one was met, it will have been fine. So let's see. Let's autofill this and see. Click, hold, and drag across. Okay. You can see that everything was highlighted. Why was everything highlighted? In this case, it's lower than 50, higher than 1 million. In this case, this is lower than 50, right? But this was not higher than 1 million. So one condition was just good enough. In this case, it was lower than and higher, right? So one condition will have been fine. You see here, way lower than 50, but not higher than 1 million. So you can definitely see how this works. So let's come and test it here like we did in the AND logic. So let's say equals or open our parentheses. We say stock less than 50, right? Comma. And now we say sales greater than 1 million, right? Close parenthesis, hit enter. You see, we will have true all across. We all have true. And because one condition or one argument here is true, but if two of the arguments are not true, for instance, let's change this 30 to at least 60, okay? Then change this sales to say 900,000, hit enter. You see that we have false because both of the conditions are false. But if we change any one of the arguments now, let's make this less than 50 and see it becomes true. Let us see how we can combine the and the or logic, okay? So here, we want to impute our conditional formatting here. Just to clarify, you can use this formula with conditional formatting and you can use it alone. Let us use the conditional formatting under status first before we go and use it ordinarily. Let's click on the cell we want to implement our conditional format. Click the drop-down on conditional format under Home tab. Then let's go to New Row. Let's say we want to use formula to determine which cells to format, and we want to enter our formulas now. So we'll say equals or open parentheses and open another parenthesis. And we want to say yield, right, is greater than or equal to 1,000, comma, then first alert is equal to, because it's a text, remember this, because it's a text, we'll use equal to we will now put our value within a quote. So we are referring to years here. So we'll put years within a quote. Then we will close the parentheses. When we close the parentheses, we have satisfied for the and. Then we'll say comma to add another argument, which in this case will be rainfall. So say rainfall will be less than 100. Then we close our parentheses. So let's go and apply our format. Let's select a color and then select a pattern because we just want to use pattern, right? Then click OK to apply, right? So you can see this now. We have this here. Why is it so? It's so because truly our yield is greater than 1,000. Our pest alert is in years and our rainfall isn't less than 100, right? Remember, that is why I said that we had satisfied the and when we talked about the yield and the rainfall. So you say comma to add the or argument, okay? Let me show you something. If all of these three were for the and arguments, you will see that it will return false. Let me just show you that for practice sake. So let's say, assuming we say equals and, right, open parentheses, and our first logic, yield, we say yield was supposed to be greater than or equal to 1,000, right? And then we say pest alert was supposed to be equal to years, right? And say comma, rainfall was meant to be less than 100. If we were using the AND logic strictly, what do you think our output will be? This we have satisfied yield because here yield is actually greater than 1,000. For the pest alert, we have satisfied that condition because we have yes in this case. But for the rainfall isn't less than 100 here. In fact, it's greater than 100. So our output will be false. So if we hit enter, you see that we have false. But if we come and edit this formula and for any reason add or, okay, so let's take rainfall out of here. We just had two conditions. We want to say this, these two conditions, right? Initially, when we're doing the AND logic, we just had two conditions, right? So we said these conditions must be met, or say comma, we want to satisfy for the or now, or the rainfall, right, should be what? Less than what? 100. So as far as these two AND conditions are met, it will tell us true. Because of the presence of or, even when these two AND conditions are not met, it will still tell us what? True. The only time it will tell us false if all of the conditions are false. If we hit enter, we have true. We have true because the AND logic testing yields and pest alert is true, even if the OR logic that tests the rainfall is false. So let us autofill this across and see what we get. Where we got false, our yield was less than 1,000. Our pest alert was what? Yes. Whereas our rainfall wasn't less than what? 100. So yield did not meet this condition. Let's look at the formula so that it's clear. Yield did not meet this condition of being greater than or equal to 1,000. Even though pest alert said yes, you see that these two conditions were not agreed upon, right? Because this one failed, this one did not fail, and the rainfall here, right? You see the rainfall here is higher than 100, okay? So what if we change this now to be 99? What will happen? It will become true because that is when this OR logic now kicks in. So it's either this is completely true or this one will be true to return true, okay? I hope that is clear. So that is what happens when we add the and or logic together. Okay, so let's autofill this. We'll go back to conditional formatting. Let us manage our rules, and we want to edit this rule, okay? So that we remove the constants in the cell address so that we can easily autofill them. So let's apply and say, okay. So we can click, hold, and drag to autofill it. And you see wherever we have it through, we have our status there, okay? Remember to subscribe for more videos. Share these videos to as many people as possible. We want many people to learn and be part of this challenge.